All right, welcome to the Chazz Palminteri Podcast. It's 11 o'clock. It's Monday. New show today. It's a new show. We got a great guest coming up. I'm not going to tell you who she is. That's right, folks. I have a she on the show. But first, I want to tell you about my show. We had a great, great show at the Town Hall. It was a classic. And now we're doing another one. Here it is, October 8th at Springfield, Massachusetts, at the MGM Casino next week. All you big whales, you big gamblers that follow me to Atlantic City and Vegas, which I was the #1 show in Las Vegas, I want to tell you. Come out to the MGM Casino. That is October 8th, Springfield, Massachusetts. October 9th, Boston, Massachusetts, at the Emerson Colonial Theater. Big show there in Boston. At the Emerson Colonial Theater, October 23rd, St. Charles, Illinois, in Chicago. The Arcadia Theater. Ron Onesti, he does a great job there. Okay, November 6th, Long Branch, New Jersey. My wife's from New Jersey. Monmouth University Center for the Arts. That is November 6th. November 11th and the 12th, I'll be in Pittsburgh for 2 shows. The 11th and 12th of November. That's the Byram Theater. And, of course, Richfield Playhouse in Richfield, Connecticut. I will be there November 19th in Richfield, Connecticut. If you want to know where I am at a city near you, go to chazzpalminteri.net. You can go there. You can get the card. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. I have new photos, too. With photos, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. These are great gifts for your children to inspire them to not waste their life. I even have original posters from the original show back in 1989. So come and see me at the MGM next week, coming up. So I have a great guest. Not only is she a great actress, she got her start from a Bronx Tale. We're not going to go into that because we said it before. You can check out one of the older episodes. She told us how she got the role. And she has been working ever since. And you know what I always say? She showed up. Remember what I said, folks? She brought her son in for an audition, showed up, and she ends up reading for De Niro's wife and beats out everybody. 3,000 women she beat out. We're reading for that part. She beat them all out. You got to show up. You've seen her on many shows, Euphoria. Kathrine Narducci. Kathrine, how are you?
I'm good.
You're good. I mean, Kathrine, I said all the shows you've done. I mean, The Irishman.
Most recently, Euphoria.
Most recently, Euphoria, which was a great show. I think it was nominated for an Emmy, wasn't it?
Yeah, not me, but the show.
But the show
Zendaya won.
That's right.
Zendaya won.
Oh, my God. She won.
Yeah, as she should. I mean, that girl is incredible.
She was incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
And, I mean, now you're doing Godfather of Harlem.
Now I'm doing Godfather of Harlem.
And I hear, from what the word is out, you're out of the kitchen and into...
well, yeah. I can't say too much.
Yeah.
Or I get the cement shoes and I end up
cement shoes
at the bottom of the East River.
Obviously, we worked together on that, and you were just fabulous.
Thank you. So were you.
No, thank you. Thank you. You were great, and I'm really excited to see you with Forrest and Vincent D'Onofrio, who's a brilliant actor. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on that. Are you excited about doing that show?
You know what? This season, I think I'm having a lot of fun. I like what they're writing for me. They're definitely changing it up, and I get to do a little more than what I was doing.
Right.
And that's something I wanted to talk about too.
Well, let's talk about it. Go ahead. Let's talk about it.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, you know, this is for all the actors out there that are inching their way up. And
is this men and women?
For everyone.
For everyone. Okay, good.
Every actor who still hasn't had that, you know, their role. Their
role.
Yeah. Or whatever, you know, where you can, like, all right, look, I'm on The Godfather of Harlem, but I've done so many other things. But this particular show, I sort of dip in and out. It's not like I'm one of the. I don't have my own storyline.
Yes.
Like I'm Vincent D'Onofrio's wife. I'm Lucy Fry's stepmother. I'm a sub plot line, storyline.
You're co-starring. I mean,
Co-starring.
Yeah,
and it's fine.
Let's don't make it small. I mean, you're a big thing in this thing.
No, yeah. I'm not making it small, but I'm saying like sometimes I feel like actors have said to me, not just on this show, somebody had said something to me, but on other things or movies, films that I have been on, like an actor will say, well, I only have a little role, so like, they make light of it.
They make light of it, yes.
And I feel like that's a disservice to you, to whatever you're doing, the movie, the play, the TV series, whatever it is.
Right.
Whatever you're doing, like with Olympia Gigante, I'm going to just give me as an example. I can only talk about myself.
Right.
So I feel that when I first started, I didn't have much. I had little things I dip in and out, as I call it, right? But I still treated Olympia and Kathrine, because you are the character and the character is you, I treat it as though I'm one of the leads. I treat it as though I am just as important as Forrest and Vincent and Lucy and the main players.
Yes.
You have to, because you are, right? Everybody's important.
You are, yes.
In life, everybody's important. It doesn't matter, right? So you have to treat it as though you are one of the leads, because then it would be more interesting. You come more
prepared,
full-bodied.
Right. But you also do your best work.
I feel that for me, when I have a little to do, it's more challenging.
Yes.
For me as an actor. When I have a little bit to do, I do a lot more work.
Right.
Because I try to make an appetizer a meal.
Right. Well, that's why.
And I try to make it more interesting.
Right.
So that I could possibly stand out.
Right.
It doesn't seem like, oh, that was a little small role. I try to make every role interesting, whether it's big or small.
Well, who said it? Was Laurence Olivier said there's no small parts, only small actors. And that's what he said. I mean, I think he was right.